Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I will show you how I created this portrait drawing. I will walk you through my whole process and I'll do my best to explain my thoughts and decisions while I draw. This time it's not so much about one specific technique, it's all about how I end up with this result. So grab yourself a drink, enjoy, or draw this reference along with me. Okay, here we go. This time I'm drawing on tone tan paper and I'm always sketching with my H clutch pencil holder. It's just an H pencil lead, in case you're wondering. I'm gonna link all the materials in the description below, like always. Okay, start with the block-in. So, looking at my reference, I'm just gonna block in the whole head very roughly. And I'm trying to do a little bit of an envelope. I have a video about how the envelope method works. I have to say, although I never really used it that much for portrait drawings, whenever I do use it for figure drawings, I get phenomenal results, like talking about the proportions and composition. So I just thought, why not use it for portraits as well? And I have to say, I kind of moved on a little bit from the Loomis method, although it did help me a lot with understanding proportions. I feel like now I reached a point where I'm more focused on what I see in the reference and translate that. And the Loomis method is more focusing on what you cannot see and the structure underneath. So I'm trying to wrap her whole head in this envelope shape. I'm trying to look for these pinpoints. This could be where the nose is, and then chin, something like this here. Sorry, I had to adjust the camera a little bit. This should be better now. Okay, so I have this very, very rough, undefined shape, and now I'm trying to look for shapes within this shape. So let's say her bangs are dividing this shape like this. I'm looking for the glabella right now, where the nose carves in. Trying to focus on big shapes, not to get distracted by small details. I'm very focused right now on tilts. Like I'm trying to look if these angles are fitting, and then after the tilts, I'm looking for the length of the lines, which I'll probably adjust later. I'm trying to locate her ear. I think it should be somewhere here. I think her neck might be too thin if I look at the reference, but I'll go with it for now. Okay, what's very important is to make the connection to ear and nose. So when I look at this tilt, it looks something like this. So I think this is where the nose should end, and this is where the ear should end. Now to me there's a connection, kind of a, you can kind of extend this line of the forehead with the curve, and it merges into the mouth and chin. If you look at the reference, you see what I mean, and these are the types of connections I'm looking for, which will really help me to make the portrait look cohesive. And I can kind of make this in a straight line because the chin goes outward so much that I can basically carve that in later. I'm using all these straight lines right now, but I will definitely define the lines more later, but right now the proportions are just more important. Okay, I think the neck is really too thin, so I'm just going to correct that right now. Let's start here. And then you can always come back. But yeah, I'm trying to observe how big the distance is, like here and here. Yeah, the camera might be a little bit, the camera angle might be a little bit deceiving because it's a very angle heavy, so don't judge it too harsh because it might be a little bit distorted here. But this, I just have to find a setup which is kind of comfortable for me to draw with too. But yeah, I have a camera in front of my face and the microphone, so I'm just trying to make all that work. So I'm sorry if this is a little bit distorted, but I will later on give you other angles. This is just, I just want to give you an overall view of the composition and how I come up with the proportions. So right now I'm trying to observe the chin line. I think it's something like this. I just see this connection of chin line and her hair in the back. So I might correct that too. I'm trying to be very loose with the pencil right now because precision does not matter. It matters more what you see and interpret. Now you can really see how I try to establish these connections of features. And in my opinion, this is also what establishes the likeliness of a portrait. It's not so much about copying something one by one, and I'm sure later you will see how things will be off, but that's just not the point. The point is more to capture the essence of the reference. I have to say by now, I even like to alter the reference a little bit, where I feel like, I just want to, make this eye shape a little bit more how I like it or I need it in this moment. That can come in really handy, and that is also your advantage, right? Like, we don't have to be slaves to the reference. But I think there's definitely beauty in studying a reference and capturing the beauty of the face and the expression. So for the nose, what I'm noticing is, if you look at the glabella, like this curve right here, and you draw a line straight to the bottom, you can then find the end of the nostril wing. So that will give you the width of the nose. At this stage, I just try to convince myself that I believe the proportions I establish. Like, there's no one else to convince. You just have to convince yourself that you see the proportions, you believe it, you believe the form and the shape. Once I'm confident in the proportions, I'm then beginning to round the lines up a little bit more to define the shape a little bit further. Yeah, let's see if I can carve out the chin here, because I definitely see this connection of nose, tip of the nose, and chin. And I see this line as having this tilt roughly. Its chin has a very strong shape and curve. I'm trying to define the nose now a little bit. I'm really trying to think if this chin needs more space or not. I need to correct this area a little bit. Alright. Now I'm already trying to look for shadow shapes, which will help me with the form. While I'm really trying to capture with this reference, and what I see as very dominant in her face is we have this curve for her nose, and then we have kind of the opposite curve a little bit for her jaw. I really like this contrast, and I want to keep this and capture this. All right, I can get rid of this now. Really like her nose shape. It's very nice and rounded. And I see her mouth is opened a little bit. Okay, so far I'm very happy with the overall shape of her face. The only thing I'm unsure about is the nostril. I feel like it's a little bit too big, to be honest. Maybe it should end here. Yeah, maybe that's better. Yeah, I really love her chin in this reference. I think it's very helpful if you find certain things in the reference you really like, and you focus on really bringing out that shape, those nice crisp edges. Okay, so far so good. Now let's tackle the eye. After I distract myself with some other areas again. I don't know, I like to go back and forth between things. Yeah, why not just draw in this shadow shape right now? Although I wanted to do the eye, but oh well. Okay, this is a shadow. Yeah, this shadow on her jaw is very round. Okay, now I feel like this line could be a little bit further to the left. It's a little bit curved, and that throws this huge shadow shape here. Where the forehead is, I see a triangle. And this is not really a triangle, but I try to see these shapes, which will help me with the proportions. So I look at the eyebrow, and the eyebrow is kind of shaping this triangle here, right here. And by connecting this form, I can make it a little bit easier for myself, I'd say. And then just try to find the end. Just a tiny bit of the right eyebrow here. Okay, looking at the eye. I like the whole shape somewhere around here. Drawing this connection of eyebrow and inner eye corner. I feel like I want to correct this shadow here. Just a tiny bit. I think in the reference, the hair covers a little bit more of the eyebrow, like this. Well, let's define her hair a little bit further. I really don't like to render hair too detailed. I think it's just very distracting. But I can definitely make use of the shape. See this part of her face? Sometimes I just like to focus on the gaps of the hair and not the hair itself. Then we have this weird curvy hair strand. Okay, I already feel like this hair strand is so distracting to the portrait, but I'll just leave it there since this is a shadow area. I'm just gonna leave it there. The ear is very, very round. It's always a bit dangerous because if something is too perfect, it might end up looking very generic. Maybe it should be a little bigger. I'm hoping later I can leave this whole back of her head a little bit unfinished. Because I like when not all areas are too polished in the end. It's a nice character. Okay, I feel like I don't really need that detail in here. Okay, now all that's left is the ear, and then the blocking should be done. Trying to take the shadow shapes with me. Good enough for me. This took me 1 hour, 10 minutes. But if I'm honest, this is the hardest part for me. The blocking and nailing the proportions. I really like to take my time with this, to be honest. Like, if that doesn't sit well with me, then goodbye. And then now we can continue with the shading. All right, 10 minutes later, fingers are dirty, pencils are sharp, and Now, nothing's stopping me from the shading process. I'm gonna start with an H pencil. And I'm just gonna bring out the form more. So I'm trying to be very gentle and just refine some of the shapes. Like you can already see here with her nostril. It's a very subtle shadow, but it can already create so much depth. And that's what I'm gonna do with the rest of the features. Okay, I think I can tone her whole upper lip. And her lower lip is darker too. Maybe like this. Okay, I wanna block in this big shadow here. I feel like that's such a huge part of the portrait. Try to do it as evenly as possible. And then let's shade her cheekbone a little bit. Whoops. Goes a little bit too dark on accident. It's fine though. These whole hair strands are dark anyway. Maybe I should just shade them in now. Okay, I need to sharpen the pencil real quick. Okay, let's see if I can bring out this shadow a little bit. I'm trying to be very gentle and follow the shape. I'm trying to kind of let it fade out here a little bit. Okay, what I want to do now is to grab a paper stump. And I really want to smoothen out the texture a little bit. But I'm grabbing a makeup brush because I really want to blend out the graphite here a little bit. Okay, now I'm grabbing a B and I just want to reinforce darker values, like the nostrils, for example, with those really sharp edges. I don't want to lose that. I don't want to blend out everything. Okay, I feel like I need to lift up a little bit of the graphite for the nose. Let's blend that out a little bit. And of course, the eye. Let's darken that again. Okay, what I'm gonna do now is, usually I don't do that. I want to try it. I'm grabbing a white contain now. And I want to bring out the brighter tones on her face. I think that can make her features really pop. Just have to be careful to not overdo it. Trying to be as gentle as possible. Now I'm really trying to blend that in, smoothen it out. It's very textured right now. Let's see how that goes. Okay, now I really want to build up more of the graphite value. Before that, I want to draw a strong contour outline. Okay, now I'm gonna grab my B grade again. Now I feel like I need to fill in the middle tone a little bit more, so I just grabbed a 2H because I feel like I started a little bit too dark with the H. So let's just see if I can fill in some of the values with this. Try to smoothen it out with a brush again. I really want to keep this reflection light right here. So I'm gonna try to bring it out a little bit more with the pen eraser. Or pencil eraser. Okay, I'm gonna grab 2B now. And again, reinforce the dark values. I'm gonna brighten the lower lip a little bit. There are these very subtle highlights. Okay, this whole shadow area needs to be way darker. That I know. Okay, let's try to smoothen it out a little bit with the brush. Okay, so far so good. I think I'm gonna move on to her eyes again. They could use some darker shades too. There was a very small fold here. I know she wears a lot of makeup, but I try not to overdo it for the drawing. Although she doesn't have a highlight in the reference, I feel like I kind of want to give her a tiny bright highlight in the eye. Let's see if I can do it. Maybe around here. I don't know. I don't know if that did anything, but I think it was better before. Maybe I can just place the highlight here. So this is a very bright spot highlight. Just like with the nose. I'm going back and forth a lot for this one, but it's fine. I think I wanna draw her lashes now. I said I'm not gonna overdo it with the makeup, but here we are. I just can't resist. Drawing lashes is so satisfying. I should give her eyebrows. Just gonna darken the whole area first. Okay, how about some hair? I guess I'd take B. Here I am getting distracted again. Well, okay, eyebrows. Okay, let's see. The direction of the eyebrows. It's like... What I discovered for myself, at least, with eyebrows is I get a much more satisfying result when I have a very blended base layer for the eyebrow. And then I just draw in separate hair after that. Instead of just having this clearly sharp separated area, it just looks too isolated oftentimes. So this way you can see how the eyebrow is very soft and blended. I really like that. I think it gives the eyebrow a very soft touch and I like it. I know it's very prominent in the reference, but this nostril wing to me is just very dark. I know in the reference it's dark too, but maybe just try to tap a little bit of graphite off there. Just don't want it to be that prominent. Okay, maybe go back in with an H. Okay, let's move on to the hair a little bit. Just gonna darken it with B. I'm unsure if I should give the hair a contour line too or not. I might. I went a little too far. Okay, I'm gonna smoothen it out with my makeup brush. And I try to go over it a bit with a blending stump. I feel like I'm already getting too detailed with the hair. I'm really not interested in hair. Okay, something I definitely need to pay attention to is the ear though. So let's just get some shadows in there. I feel like now I reached the point in the portrait where I'm getting a bit sloppy. I don't know if you know this, but I've done all the pretty parts of the portrait and now I have to do the not so fun parts. And I'm like, don't even bother. But what are you gonna do? I think I really want to leave this part unfinished. Maybe focus on her neck a little bit more. And of course, yeah, okay. Let's just get this ear done. So, grabbing 2B. Going in with my blending stump. Okay, let's bring back some of the lighter areas, like right here. Okay, I feel like that's fine. Okay, and I think after a little bit more than 3 hours, I'm done with this portrait. There are a few things I could refine more, but I think I'm gonna quit right here. I think it's a good point. I like some unfinished parts of the drawing. It doesn't always have to be, completely polished. All right, I think I'm gonna stop here. The whole portrait took me a little bit over 3 hours, which is quite good for me, but it's still a lot. I hope you found it helpful and entertaining and you enjoyed the process. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.